Hey guys, I'm back. So first I want to apologize because I'm actually doing this video in my bedroom right now and they are doing remodeling of our building, and so they're doing like major demo. So the wall behind me, they are actually in the process of tearing down because they're going to add a new window behind my bed, which is why those little white things are there, because those are where I used to have pictures hanging, and I had to take them down because there's going to be a big hole in that wall tomorrow. So if you hear any outside noise, that's what that is. Yeah. So today was a big day. I had my surgery consult, but first I'm going to back up because I had made this really long drawn out video in two parts, and then I couldn't figure out how to upload it to YouTube from my phone and like put it together in one video. So I'm gonna back up. So anyways, so I went in, like, I don't know if I said it in my last video, but I went into like major freak out mode. I talked to one of the girls in my track number for my options class, and she had her surgery. And so I kind of touched base with her and she told me what to expect. And she asked me who was the doctor that was doing my surgery, and I told her it was Dr. Belzberg at Harbor City for Kaiser, because the Kaiser program, all of their surgeries are done in their Harbor City location. So even though I live in Orange County, I have to go to Harbor City to get my surgery done. So she kind of, it's weird because when we were going through the options class, there was a guy in our class whose wife had the surgery a year ago. And he had said he gave me the name of her surgeon. He said, try and get this surgeon because he's really, really great. He spoke very highly of her, of the surgeon. His wife spoke very highly of the surgeon. So I wrote it down, but that was like 3 months ago. So I totally forgot about it. So then when I called Kaiser and they said, oh, okay, here's your surgeon's name. It's Dr. Belzberg, but I totally spelled it wrong. So then I started thinking, and so I went back in my notes from my options binder and I found his name. And I was like, oh, cool. So I was really excited about that. So then I talked to one of the girls who did her surgery already, and she actually works for Kaiser. And so she asked me, she's like, who's your surgeon? And I said, oh, it's Dr. Belzberg. And she's like, oh, cool. He's like a really good surgeon. She's like, but I'm going to warn you, he has like atrocious bedside manner. So now me and her are both nurses. And so she said that she's actually worked with him before. So, I mean, I work with doctors all the time. And to be honest with you, it's been a long time since I met a doctor that actually has a good bedside manner. So when a nurse to me tells me that a doctor has poor bedside manner, it usually means it's really bad if they're going to complain about it. That's my opinion, because like I said, I've never met a doctor with a good one. So for somebody to say that it was really, really bad, just that kind of worried me. So then I decided to Google him, which was a big mistake because everybody said the same thing, that he was a great surgeon, wonderful surgeon, but he was a total asshole. And like a total jerk. So I'm a really like happy-go-lucky person, kind of sensitive. So I was already like, not only had high anxiety because of the whole meeting with him to get my surgery date, now I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna have to compete with this guy who's a total dick, So I was really worried about that. So my appointment was scheduled today at 11:30, and just to kind of cover all my bases, I called Kaiser because remember I was having the insurance issue. And this morning when I woke up and I logged on to kp.org, which is the online portal for Kaiser, they still had me as not covered. So I didn't want to run into any problems of possibly getting there and them saying, thanks for driving down, but no, you can't see the surgeon because you're still not covered. So I called the eligibility worker at Kaiser and got everything confirmed just to be on the safe side, because that's just me. I always have a plan A, B, C, D, and sometimes an E and F and a G if I have to. So I got there early, made sure I got everything worked out. So I got everything cleared. So by this time, I was in total anxiety mode. So I get there, I check in, meet with the medical assistant. She takes my vital signs, and normally my blood pressure is extremely low. Like usually I'm around 90 over 70. I'm usually never over 102. Like if I hit 110, that's something for me. I'm never higher than like 110 over 80. usually when they do the automatic cuffs, it doesn't even work for me. I usually tell them, can you do manual, because it's never going to work. So when I went in, I was so nervous. Like my palms were sweating. My heart was racing. So I sit down and like she takes my blood pressure and it comes back and it's like 168 over like 102. And she was like, oh my God, are you okay? And so she looks at my record. She goes, this is totally not normal for you. And I go, I know. I'm just really freaking out. So like she puts me in a room by myself and gives me some water and some magazines. She's like, just calm down and like we'll retake your blood pressure. So I sat there for like 15, 20 minutes and then I went back out and she retook my vitals again. And I think my blood pressure was like 120 over like 80, which is normal within the normal range for the average person. But for me, that was still kind of high. But whatever. So she put me in the room to meet with him. And so she said, there's 2 other people before you, so he'll be in as soon as he can. So I'm thinking, great, that gives me more time to just completely freak out. But he actually came in pretty quick. And I was prepared for the absolute worst when he walked in. But he surprised me. He walked in, and I don't know if it's because I caught him on a really good day or if because the nurse had already kind of given him a heads up that I was like in major panic mode and I might have a heart attack in his office. He was the sweetest guy I have ever met, as far as a doctor is concerned. Like he came in and he pulled the chair up right next to me and sat right in front of me and was just like really focusing on me, asking me if I had any questions. He was like, do you want some more water? I'm thinking he probably thought I was going to have a heart attack in his office. So he was like, let me not do anything else to stress this girl out. But he was really nice. He really took his time explaining things with me. He asked me, what procedure that I was interested in, because Kaiser does the lap band, the sleeve, and the RNY. And I had gone in thinking that I really wanted the sleeve. And he confirmed that for me. He said, your BMI was already low. Like my BMI was 39.8, I think. So I just barely made the cutoff for Kaiser's criteria, because Kaiser's criteria is, I think, 40. So I had just barely made the cutoff for the BMI. So he was like, I really don't think the RNY is a surgery that's going to be good for you. I really would rather see you have the sleeve. So I was happy about that. So then he says, so what day are you looking to have surgery? And I was like, oh, I get to pick a day. And he's like, well, yeah. And I said, okay, well, what day do you have available? And I'm thinking he's going to say like 3 months out, something like that. And he's like, oh, well, I could get you in on the 28th. And I'm like, today's the 18th. And he's all, yeah, I know. I go, so like in 10 days. And he's all, yeah. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no, that's way too soon. And he's like, okay, well, when were you looking? And I said, I would really like something in June if possible. He's like, okay, let's do June 3rd. And I was like, oh, that's kind of soon too. I go, what else do you have in June? He's like, June 5th. And I was like, no. And then so finally he said like June 11th. And I felt like I kind of wanted something that was in later June, just because I kind of have a lot going on in June. But I was afraid that if I kept saying anything, like if I kept pushing it, that, I don't know, he would have gotten annoyed or I don't know, whatever. So I went ahead and I said June 11th. So my surgery is set for June 11th, which is, I kind of have a lot going on. I mean, nothing that's like really, like my June 11th, it's my daughter's last day of school. So she gets out of school at like 12. So I'm hoping, I requested a late evening surgery, so that I could pick her up from school, kind of spend some time with her. My mom is in school. My mom's a nursing student. So my mom's in nursing school. So she doesn't get out of school until 3. So I was hoping that I could pick my daughter up from school, bring her home, feed her, dinner, and then have my mom watch her, and then I can get checked in and go into surgery, have surgery. And then he said that I would be released the next day. So it would be Friday. And so, yeah, I just have this in my mind that I'm going to be up and moving around and ready to be going by like Saturday, which I hope. I've had laparoscopic surgery before, for something that was completely different. And I mean, I was in the hospital. I think I had surgery at like midnight because it was an emergency surgery. I had surgery at like midnight, and by 8 o'clock the next morning, like I was ready to go. I think like literally like I checked out and I think I went to the mall to go buy something to wear for a party that I was going to, like, later that week. I was in no pain at all. I had no pain medicine. I was perfectly fine. So I asked him if it was going to be anything like that. And he said, yeah. He said, I guess the surgery that I had before was a little bit more invasive because it was emergency surgery. So he said, if I handled that with flying colors, I should be okay. So I'm really hoping that that is the case and that I will be able to make it to a birthday party on Saturday that I promised my daughter that I would take her to. It's her best friend's birthday party, and I promised her I would take her. So I'm hoping that I'm able to do that. If not, then we'll have to come up with a plan B or C or D. I don't know. We'll come up with something. He asked me how much time I wanted off of work. Since I'm an independent contractor, asked for as little time off as possible. He gave me 4 weeks, but he said that if I wanted to go back in a week, I could. He said because I don't do a lot of heavy lifting, then I should be okay. So I'm hoping to be able to go back to work and only take a week off. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So I have a friend that's going to cover all my patient visits for me while I'm out. And then hopefully I won't miss that much for work. So yeah. So other than that, I mean, I guess I just sit and wait. I'm going to have one last hoorah before I leave. Before I go into surgery, I go to New Orleans on, I think it's Memorial Day weekend. It's next weekend. Oh my God. Yeah, next week I go to New Orleans. I'm going to be in New Orleans. So not this Friday, but the following Friday. Not that you know what today's date is, but anyways. So in a week and a half, I'll be in New Orleans for 4 days. So that'll kind of be my last, which is kind of cool because I've always wanted to go to New Orleans because I've always wanted to try the food. So this will be my last opportunity to do that. Well, I don't want to say last opportunity, but, usually whenever I travel, I always do a food tour. So this will be my last kind of opportunity to do a food tour because after that, it's going to be a waste of time because I'm not going to be able, a waste of money because I'm not going to be able to eat that much. So I have my trip for New Orleans scheduled. And then actually 3 weeks after I have surgery, I'm supposed to be doing a trip to Vegas where I'm driving. So that may have to get postponed because I don't see myself driving 4 or 5 hours after surgery. But I don't know. We'll see. I may be feeling good. So I don't know. But so I have an appointment scheduled on June 5th with the pre-operative RN, which I'm supposed to meet with her just to go over the diet that I'm supposed to have before surgery. They're going to give me a list of medication that I'm supposed to stop taking, which I kind of already know because I'm a nurse. So yeah. But anyway, it's a mandatory visit. So I'm going to meet with her. She said it's like an hour, if that. And I think they're probably going to go over like the drinking and stuff after surgery, like directly after. Because it's just what they do. Because usually when you come out of surgery, it's like the teaching before. I don't know. I'm arguing about this, but I already know this. Like, I know that it's required. So, yeah. So, I'm going to do that. So, I will do another video to update you guys about that. And then the video after that should be me going into surgery and then me coming out of surgery. So, the day is finally here. I cannot believe it. Yeah. So... hold on, my phone is ringing.